Hey everyone, this is Hill Street Soul, and you're tuned in to the core with the Millennial Coach, discussing topics on real life. Check it out. Everywhere you go, don't forget the ghetto. Listen to the core.
Oh, what's up, people? It's the Millennial Coach, and I am back. So I'm out the nightgown, I guess. So you see me at my worst, see me at my best. So I am enjoying my time in Paris and talking about how to be happily single. Now, Vivica Fox recently went on an interview with Tamron Hall, and people are saying that because she made a comment about she's receiving applications, she's unhappily single. And like she said, can't we just live? Like, those of us that are single, we just want to live and be happy. We don't need the judgment. We don't need people to try and give us explanation as to why we're single. And some people, listen, I'm not going to deny that they're miserable. Let's keep it 100. Some people are miserably single and they will stay so until they get to happy. But Vivica is absolutely right. Like, we don't, listen, I was sitting in a Parisian cafe and I call him Big Daddy. Some Big Daddy came to me. He was smoking one cigar. I saw him smoking one big cigar, and he came to tell me how pretty I was. I was just like, oh, a little bit of abundance there. So I was like, thank you, And the thing is, it's just nice that someone can admire my beauty. Like, I appreciate it. And I just think when we spend time being frustrated because if people will be like, oh, he's not attractive. In fact, listen, some of the ugliest people have some of the most beautiful kids. So let's not hate on people that are not seen as pretty or beautiful or whatever. And beauty essentially is in the eye of the beholder. So that brings us to today's subject. And before we carry on, I am the Millennial Coach. This is the core that you're locked into, and I'm in Paris. So today's show, right? And if you love people keeping it 100, I am your girl. So today's show is really about, yes, we're talking about how to be happily single, but I'm also talking about having requirements as a single person. So let's get into the conversation. But before we do, you know what I'm going to talk about in it. I haven't spoken about a TV show in a minute, and I don't think you are appreciating some of the TV shows that I do promote. Not because they're telling me to promote it, because from a coaching perspective, when I watch TV, I don't know if it's a good or bad thing, but I watch TV in a way where I'm looking at the mentality, the mindset. That's why I watch a lot of reality. And we're going to talk about maths this week, Married at First Sight for singles. I'm going to get into that because I think there's a lot to discuss. However, TV recommendation and today's show on happily single, but having requirements, not expectations. So let's go. Yalla, Yenko. So I just highlighted about Vivica Fox, and her decision to be single is not because she hasn't got suitors, as she made clear. It's simply because there are requirements to be in a relationship with that type of woman. Vivica Fox is not someone that is just going to date anyone, as of many women after a certain age. Because when you're younger, there's a lot of things that you tolerate. There's a lot of things that you do not challenge men on if you're a woman. And in some cases, the men don't challenge some women on their situations. And if you're in same-sex relationships, it may be applicable. So when you have expectations as opposed to requirements, you actually decide that you're going to wait for somebody to actually do the act that you're expecting. When you have requirements, you maturely communicate what is necessary for your growth and development in order to have a sustainable and healthy relationship. So this is why requirements are absolutely pivotal and fundamental at the beginning of any relationship. You can't have a relationship without having requirements that can be voiced clearly, concisely, and they're received in the way they're intended. Now, the reason I'm saying that is because when you've got requirements as a woman, and I can only speak from a woman's perspective because this is what I recognize. When we have requirements, one of the things is when we are conveying those requirements, it's not a do or die. If you don't do this, this is X. We're just making sure, or any individual, whether male or female, people are making sure that the ground has been laid in respect to what they need in order to operate effectively in any given relationship. And this can translate into the workplace as well. You are required to do X in order to have Y. Okay? So if you're in a relationship or you're just starting to date somebody, I think the requirements need to happen after date 3 when you decide to become exclusive. Don't do it prior because you don't want someone to commit to you and you are not interested in them. And I think this is really important as it's a conduit to happiness, in my opinion, because if you can establish what works for you, and if that other individual actually says, I like the requirements that you have in place, I can work with those, and my requirements are also X, Y, and Z, and you can work with those requirements, then you're a match made in heaven. I'm not suggesting there's not going to be bumps in the road, because there's always bumps in the road. It doesn't matter if it's friendship, relationship, workship. It's always something, there's going to be some disagreements along the way. But when you have requirement of effective communication, the thing is, that's where you actually activate that and mobilize how you communicate. You've had an issue, sorry, I'm a bit croaky today. You've had an issue, and so it's time now to sort it out. So if one of your requirements is effective communication, what you do is sit in a setting where it's external to a property that you both live in or one of you live in, or you go out and you sit in public space to have a conversation that is going to be impactful for both of you with purpose. So you set your agenda. You say, we had an issue earlier. Can we sit and talk about it later? Sometimes, or you might be out and everyone's in a good mood and you might just drop, I was a little bit worried about our conversation earlier today because I felt X, Y, and Z. Requirements are important to convey. The reason I think expectations are dangerous is because when you have expectations, you're always giving someone else the power that you want to yield at their time. It doesn't make any sense because then you have to wait in order to feel comfortable. In order to be healthy and whole and happy, you have got to be clear about your requirements. It is essential that this is part of your designated, I would say, role in life. So, for example, if you go for a job interview and one of your requirements is I have to have parental leave during school holidays, it's a requirement. It's not something you're prepared to compromise on. So requirements, although I've just said you can't compromise on them, you shouldn't, because I don't think that it gives you credibility. And I do think sometimes things can be bent a little bit, but the ethos of your requirement is for you to have a solid foundation about how you want to be treated. So that's really important. I hope that that's been useful for you, because requirements are not something people consider when they're in relationships. They just think this person and me get on and it's going to be great. And we don't think about the challenges that come ahead. And when we don't think about the challenges that come ahead, when they do come to a head, we are struggling to navigate how to work through them if we don't have the relevant tools. So don't think about requirements and being single as an antidote for drama, because it isn't. Drama is something, especially when I've been in relationships where it's been in 1 or 2 where men seem to want to have problems or pick a fight. Now that's a symptom of something else, whether they're unhappy, they're cheating, they've got a plan to exit, whatever it may be, or they're just trying to make you codependent on them. And if, I have dated a narcissist in the past. So if you've had that experience, you really, really need to put requirements in literally stone and pin it up above your bed. But really have this as a serious element of your own development in relationships, because requirements are going to give you peace of mind. It's like if you get a loan out, let's just keep it that simple. If you get a loan out, there's a requirement that you have to pay a loan for 36 months at, I don't know, £218 at 12.5% APR. That's the requirement of the loan. And you have to have full-time employment. That's the requirement of the loan. So you take it based on the requirements. So think about your life as that you're loaning your spirit to somebody, because you are offering a piece of you to someone else. And so if you're going to do that, what needs to be in place in order for it to be sustainable and joyful at the same time? I am the Millennial Coach. I want to thank you very much for staying tuned on requirements and day 2 of Happily Single. Please email me at themillennialcoach@gmail.com. Peace.